Have you known one small mistake during masturbation after 65 could quietly harm your heart and mind? As we grow older, we often hear about the importance of diet, exercise, and social connection. But what we rarely talk about is how solo intimacy, when done with awareness, can actually become a tool for healing and well-being. And when done without care, it can just as easily chip away at the very systems we're trying to preserve. In this video, we're going to explore 5 common mistakes people over 65 often make while masturbating. Small but powerful choices that could be interrupting your energy, weakening your heart, and leaving your body more tense than relaxed. These aren't about shame. They're about insight. And once you understand the mechanics behind these 5 things, you may begin to see this personal ritual not as something to rush through, but as a chance to support your health in a deeply personal way. Stay with me until the end, because by avoiding these simple mistakes, you can reclaim your solo time as a space for restoration, not just release. And the benefits? Better sleep, better blood flow, and a stronger, more balanced connection between your body and your mind. Number 1, rushing through the experience. One of the most common mistakes people make, especially later in life, is treating self-pleasure like a quick task to check off. A few minutes here, a quick release there, then it's back to the day. But the truth is, when you rush this part of your life, you're not just missing out on pleasure. You may also be stressing your heart, spiking your blood pressure, and keeping your nervous system stuck in a loop of tension rather than relief. Your body, especially after 65, doesn't respond the way it did at 30. Blood flow is slower, hormonal rhythms are different, and the heart takes longer to adjust to physical exertion. Yes, even during something as private as self-touch. When you rush through the experience, you bypass the slow, build-up your body actually needs to feel safe and relaxed. That abrupt stimulation, especially when you go from 0 to climax in a matter of moments, puts the body under pressure instead of bringing it into balance. It's not about being dramatic. It's about being honest with what your body needs now. I remember talking to a 71-year-old man named Leonard. He told me he had gotten into the habit of finishing quickly because it felt like there wasn't any time to slow down. But the more he did it, the more he noticed tension in his chest, and oddly enough, a sense of restlessness after. It wasn't until he deliberately began slowing things down, focusing on touch, breathing more deeply, and letting his mind settle, that he began feeling that sense of calm again. His sleep improved, his mood lifted, and his heart didn't feel like it was racing anymore. Masturbation is not a race. It's a space, a private one, where your body and nervous system have a chance to reconnect. When you allow the experience to unfold slowly, you activate your parasympathetic nervous system, the same one responsible for healing, digesting, and restoring the body. That's the state where long-term health is supported. That's where relaxation begins. So the next time you find yourself hurrying through it, ask yourself why. Is it habit, shame, a desire to just be done? Whatever the reason, no. This slowing down isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's one of the most important things you can do, not just for your pleasure, but for your health. Number 2, holding your breath or over-tensing your body. It might seem like a small thing, barely noticeable, but the way you breathe and the way you hold your body during self-pleasure can have a major impact on your health after 65. Many people, especially men and women in their later years, fall into the unconscious habit of holding their breath or clenching their core muscles during the experience. It can happen without you even realizing it. But that brief moment of tension, that shallow or stopped breath, can send signals to your heart and brain that you're under pressure, not in a state of pleasure. When you hold your breath, your oxygen levels drop. Your blood vessels constrict. Your heart rate spikes. And for someone over 65, someone whose heart may already be more sensitive, that's not just uncomfortable, it can be dangerous. The same goes for tensing your muscles too tightly, especially in the abdomen, lower back, or pelvic floor. That kind of internal strain increases intra-abdominal pressure, raises blood pressure, and activates the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight response. In short, your body starts reacting as if it's bracing for an emergency, not enjoying a moment of release. I once knew a man named Raymond, a 78-year-old retired piano tuner. He was active, sharp-minded, and emotionally open, but he often felt lightheaded and exhausted after solo time. His doctor couldn't find anything physically wrong, but when we talked more, he realized that he had been clenching his stomach and jaw during the entire experience and breathing in short, shallow bursts. Once he shifted to a slower rhythm, exhaling more deeply and relaxing his muscles throughout, he found that the experience left him calmer instead of depleted. And that's the key. You want the experience to restore you, not rob you of energy. Start by simply noticing your breath. Can you inhale fully through your nose? Can you exhale completely without strain? Let the breath move like a wave, slow, smooth, and steady. As for your body, pay attention to where you hold tension. Jaw tight, shoulders raised, belly locked. Invite those muscles to soften. Let gravity take over. The more you allow, the less you force. The more your body will respond with ease, not effort. Masturbation is not just about physical release. It's about energetic balance. And breath is the bridge between the two. The more you breathe, the more your blood circulates. The more your muscles relax, the more your nervous system settles. And that's where the real benefits begin. Better heart rhythm, better sleep, and a body that feels safe, not strained in its own skin. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 3, using excessive pressure or overstimulation. As the body changes with age, so does sensation. And many people respond by increasing pressure, force, or intensity during self-pleasure in an effort to compensate for reduced sensitivity. Whether it's pressing too hard, using numbing tools, or relying on high-intensity visual stimulation, this habit can do more than just dull the experience. Over time, it can condition your nervous system to require more and more stimulation to achieve the same level of satisfaction while reducing your natural ability to feel pleasure in more subtle, real-life ways. Your skin, especially in sensitive areas, becomes thinner and less elastic with age. Nerve endings change. Circulation slows. So when you apply excessive pressure or rely on tools or techniques that are overly aggressive, you're actually working against your body's natural rhythm. This can lead to desensitization, delayed response, or in some cases, discomfort or micro-injuries that go unnoticed until they begin to affect daily life. It's not about avoiding stimulation altogether. It's about choosing the right kind, the kind that helps your body tune in, not shut down. I knew a woman named Marjorie, 69 years old, who had started using stronger and stronger vibrational tools, thinking it would help her feel something again. But after a while, she noticed she was feeling less during the rest of her day, less warmth, less sensation during intimacy, even less comfort from simple touch. When she scaled things back, using her hands, soft textures, and slower pacing, her sensitivity didn't just return, it deepened. And so did her emotional connection to the experience. This isn't about going backward. It's about growing forward, with more awareness, not more intensity. Your body is still capable of deep pleasure, but that pleasure comes from tuning into more, not pushing harder. Think of it like music. When the volume is too high, you miss the subtleties. But when it's just right, you hear every layer, every tone, every note. Your body works the same way. Gentle pressure, slow rhythm, and varied touch all help your nervous system stay responsive and relaxed. They allow blood flow to increase naturally without causing friction or damage. And just as importantly, they invite your mind into the process, not just your muscles. So the next time you reach for stimulation, ask yourself, is this helping me feel more? Or is it just making me numb? The difference matters. Because the more you respect your body's changing sensitivity, the more it will reward you with depth, richness, and connection, even when you're alone. Number 4, ignoring emotional or mental discomfort. There's a side to self-pleasure that rarely gets talked about, especially as we age. While the body is often the focus, the mind and emotions play just as critical a role in how we experience intimacy with ourselves. And one of the most damaging mistakes people over 65 can make is pushing through emotional discomfort without pausing to understand what it's trying to say. Loneliness, sadness, guilt, or even numbness can quietly surface during or after the act. And instead of acknowledging those feelings, many people bury them deeper. They try to override the discomfort by focusing harder on the physical sensation or by rushing toward a finish just to make it all go away. But here's what often happens next: the act ends, but the unease remains. It lingers in the background. It shows up later as restlessness, poor sleep, irritability, or even a quiet sense of shame. Your emotional state during self-pleasure isn't just a background detail, It's the foundation. When you ignore your feelings, you disconnect from the part of yourself that's asking to be seen, comforted, or understood. And over time, this disconnection can affect your nervous system, increase stress, hormone levels, and deepen the very emotional isolation that many older adults are already vulnerable to. I once knew a 66-year-old man named Harold who had lost his wife a few years earlier. He still wanted connection, both emotional and physical, but every time he touched himself, he felt a strange wave of guilt and grief that he didn't know how to process. At first, he tried to ignore it, but the more he ignored it, the worse it got. Eventually, he began taking a few quiet minutes before the act, not to analyze, but just to acknowledge what was there. He'd breathe, name what he felt: loneliness, love, longing, and then move gently forward, carrying those feelings with him instead of fighting them. What changed wasn't just the experience, it was the peace he felt afterward. Self-pleasure doesn't mean turning your emotions off. In fact, it works better when you turn them on, when you allow yourself to be whole, human, and honest. You can still feel desire and sadness at the same time. You can still feel lonely and alive. And when you allow both, something profound happens. Your body softens, your breath deepens, and the act becomes less about escape and more about self-connection. So if you find yourself feeling uneasy or disconnected before, during, or after the act, pause. You don't need to fix anything. Let that awareness be a form of self-care all its own. Because real intimacy begins not in your body, but in your willingness to be fully present with yourself. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 5, using the act as a sleep aid too close to bedtime. It's a quiet routine for many older adults late at night. After the house is quiet, after the lights are low, they turn to self-pleasure as a way to fall asleep. And while that might work for some, using masturbation too close to bedtime, especially as a habitual sleep aid, can actually disrupt the very rest you're trying to find. The reason lies in how the nervous system works. When you stimulate the body, whether through movement, sensation, or mental imagery, you activate the brain's alert system. Heart rate rises, blood pressure increases, and certain hormones like dopamine and adrenaline begin to circulate. Now, for a younger person, that energy might taper off quickly. But after 65, your body's ability to calm back down is slower. Your heart takes more time to return to baseline. Your melatonin cycle, the hormone that regulates sleep, can be delayed. And what was meant to lull you to sleep ends up keeping you in a restless loop where you're tired but not truly relaxed. There's also the emotional layer. If the act becomes a nightly habit tied to stress, loneliness, or boredom, your brain begins to associate bedtime not with rest, but with stimulation. And instead of winding down, it subtly starts preparing for activity, even if your body's exhausted. Over time, this weakens your natural circadian rhythm and makes it harder to fall asleep without stimulation. I remember a 72-year-old woman named Barbara who told me she used to rely on self-pleasure every night to help her fall asleep. It became part of her routine, almost like brushing her teeth. But she started noticing that her sleep became lighter, her dreams more vivid, and she'd often wake in the middle of the night feeling restless. When she began spacing it out, enjoying the experience earlier in the evening instead of right before bed, her sleep improved dramatically. She no longer needed it as a crutch. It became a choice, not a compulsion. And her body began to trust nighttime again. That's the shift worth considering. When you move your self-pleasure to a different time, when your energy is still stable, your mind is still alert, and your body isn't trying to shut down, you give yourself the chance to enjoy it more and rest better. It becomes a moment of connection instead of a tool for escape. It becomes nourishment, not noise. So if you find yourself using it to fall asleep every night, ask yourself gently, is this helping me rest, or is it part of why I feel unrested? That question doesn't need to lead to shame, just awareness. Because once you notice the pattern, you can shift it. And once you shift it, you can finally give your body what it's really asking for: peace, rhythm, and a kind of rest that doesn't rely on anything except your own natural balance. Final thoughts. As we bring this video to a close, take a quiet moment and reflect. What stood out to you the most? Was it the importance of breath? The surprising link between overstimulation and long-term sensitivity? Or maybe the reminder that your emotions matter just as much as your physical well-being? Whichever part resonated with you, remember this: the way we care for ourselves in private often reflects how deeply we respect ourselves overall. At this stage of life, your body's not failing, it's evolving. It's asking for slower rhythms, gentler touch, and more honest attention. That's not a weakness. That's wisdom. And when you begin treating your most personal rituals as moments of self-kindness, not just stimulation, you create space for real healing, not just momentary relief. You don't need to change everything all at once. Start with one small adjustment. Maybe you slow down. Maybe you breathe more deeply. Maybe you create a little more emotional space before or after. The more present you are with your body, the more it will show up for you in strength, clarity, and peace. You've spent a lifetime navigating the noise of the world. Now is your time to listen inward, with care, with patience, with a kind of trust that says, I'm still here, and I'm still worth showing up for. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.